السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Yeah. Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah for guiding us to Islam. We praise Allah for allowing all of us to still be alive and well, inshallah, in order to prepare ourselves to face Allah, their judgment, in which none of us will be exempted from facing Allah to be accountable for our deeds. Yeah? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us in our journey in this life and the hereafter. So today's topic, it is a topic in which, well, a lot of people have misconceived information. I did ask the brothers, right, in the class, are you a mu'min? Yeah, everybody say yes, 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 yes. Yeah, alhamdulillah. But when we discuss about the criteria of a mu'min, then half of them, they change their mind and said, well, may not be. Yeah. So um, we know from, for example, to define, um, because a mu'min is a person who has iman. Yeah. We understood from the hadith of Jibril alayhi salam. Yeah, we know that he came. It's a beautiful hadith, yeah, and then he explained to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. Yeah, these are the three grades, yeah, of somebody who is a Muslim, yeah. So in general, why I said a Muslim, because Muslim is general term for you and me, right? Unless you have not taken your shahada, or you were born as a Muslim and you practice Islam, then unless you are in that position, then you're not. Either you are Muslim or not. In general. So Muslim is a general term, but to define it in clearer terms, we know a hadith in which Jibril alayhi salam, I think the hadith from by Umar ibn Khattab anhu, right? And they were sitting with the compliments of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there appeared a man in very white clothes. Not usually when you are in a desert, when if you have never seen before, most likely he or she would be traveling, a traveler, and passing through the what do you call it, the deserts is very dusty. It's unlikely that you have a completely white um, thobe which has no stain or no dirt or no dust. Yeah, and the hair was described as very black, no sense, no what do you call it, no sense, yeah, on it. It is a perfect image of a person who just came out of a shower, right, and very fresh. And this is something which is quite peculiar, right, in those days, for those especially who are traveling, yeah, around Saudi Arabia. Yeah. So in this hadith, yeah, Jibril alayhi salam, right, were approached, and the way they sit down, the thighs of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was almost touching the thigh of this person, right? Of course, they wouldn't get at that occasion when Jibril alayhi salam first came. Nobody knows that it was Jibril, right? So he said, "Oh Muhammad, tell me about Islam." And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, "Islam is to testify." Hey, you should think that none is right to be worshipped but Allah and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is messenger. You must observe fasting, salat first, zakat, fasting in Ramadan, and perform Hajj, yeah, in the house. So then this person replied, yeah, you have spoken the truth. Yeah. And then the companions were surprised, yeah, because how come, isn't it the usual way how it was the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was always teaching the rest, not the other person teaching the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, especially about Islam, yeah. And then ask another question, telling me about Iman. Yeah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam answered, Iman is to believe in Allah, His angels, the books, His messengers, the last day, and that we believe in qadar, or predestiny, or its bad and good consequences. Again, the person sitting beside Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was Jibril, right, said that yes, you have spoken the truth. Yeah. Then inquired about Iman, about Ihsan. So Islam first, Iman and Ihsan, right? Um, and then he said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it is to worship Allah as if you see Him, and although you do not see Him, He sees you. Yeah. So these are the things, the main things. That other things, of course, are the questions. This is the main thing that I would like to bring about the this hadith. which clearly make a distinction between Islam and Iman. So a person, he's a Islam, just know what Islam is a Muslim. This is the lowest level. All of us, inshallah, are Muslims. Yeah. But of course, if you feel a further criteria, which is the reward will be Jannah, not just Jannah, Jannah al Firdaus, it is a mu'min, yeah, which is a person with Iman, yeah. And even higher than this is a person who is called a muhsin, those with ihsan, yeah. So this is the first a clue to you and me, a first clue that to say or to indicate that a person who has iman, or should I say a mu'min or a Muslim, is very different level. Yeah. Another source of information to prove this is very clearly shown in Surah number 49, I believe in verse number, let me check, I think 14, 15. Yeah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قالت الأعراب آمنا قل لم تؤمنوا ولكن قولوا أسلمنا ولما يدخل الإيمان في قلوبكم وإن تطيعوا الله ورسوله لا يلتكم من أعمالكم شيئا إن الله غفور رحيم إنما المؤمنون الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله ثم لم يرتابوا وجاهدوا بأموالهم وأنفسهم في سبيل الله أولئك هم الصادقون. The Bedouins say, we believe. So the Bedouins boldly say, yes, we are mu'min. Yeah, we have iman. But, and he was answered, yeah, you believe what you do not believe. Yeah, that means you're not a mu'min, but you only say we have surrendered to Islam. So you're not a mu'min, but you're a Muslim. Yeah, you have not reached that level yet. Yeah, for faith has not entered your heart. But if you obey Allah, so the criteria to upgrade yourself from a Muslim to a mu'min is this: if you obey Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, He will not decrease anything in reward for your deeds. Verily, Allah is often forgiving, the most merciful. Right? There must be obedience to Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A lot of people think that what's so difficult? We obey Allah, we obey Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but Subhanallah, right? If you look at the people, for example, not being judgmental, of course, right? Everybody has a right to do, has a freedom to choose whatever that they want to do. Yeah, but Islam means complete submission to Allah. It's not up to you and me to decide. Yeah, I want to obey this one I do not want to obey. Right? So perhaps they have not entered Islam perfectly. Those who do this, right? People are wearing hijab and not wearing hijab. They take out the hijab and all this, right? Then you have to question yourself, right? Did Allah reveal in the Quran about verse of the hijab? Definitely, right? The word hijab, as we discussed many times, it's not used in the Quran in context of the head cover. It is used in context of the what do you call it, a barrier between men and women. Yeah. However, yeah, you and I know that Allah used the words khimar, jalabiya, yeah, to indicate the face cover. Sorry, the head cover. Yeah, to cover the head, all this, and explain, of course, in Hadith of Prophet ﷺ about the aura of a woman. Yeah, what need to be covered. Yeah. So this is just one example, right? People have the right to choose up to you, right? But you cannot say that you are a mu'min if you decide what to obey, what not to obey. Yeah, in terms of many things, right? And again, not being judgmental. In my side of the world, in Singapore, Malaysia, um, Indonesia, of course, right? People say, yes, I have iman. Yeah, I'm a mu'min. And yet, there's so many people having girlfriends and boyfriends, right? They forgot in the Quran, Allah said very clearly, "Wala taqrabu zina." Do not come near zina. Not do not do zina. Do not come near zina. And that command of Allah is absolute. It's not up to you and me to decide what is coming near zina. Everything, right? Including, of course, as I said, having boyfriends and girlfriends, holding hands, going to the movies with non-mahrams, and all this are included under, well, do not come near zina. Yeah. So this is something in which, if we want to upgrade ourselves, inshallah, from being a Muslim to a mu'min, then we must obey completely Allah and His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That means including, of course, do not commit innovations, because very clearly Allah said in the Quran, yeah, in Surah number 5, verse number 3, Al-Yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-Islam dina. This day I have perfected religions for you. I have completed my favors upon you. I have chosen Islam as your way of life. So Islam is complete. And then you say, oh, because my Sheikh said this, then I will do this. Even though there's no examples in the Quran, no examples of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And then you still do it. Where is it? Where is this obedience to Allah and Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam? When we say our shahada, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu rasuluh, we bear witness none has the right to worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his slave and messenger. That means to be obeyed completely. It's not up to you and me to choose what to obey. And as I said many times, also in Surah number 2, verse number 38, when Allah ordered Adam salam out of paradise, and He said, قُلْنَا بِيْتُ مِنْهَا جَمِيعًا فَإِمَّا يَأْتِيَنَّكُم مِّنِّي هُدًى فَمَنْ تَبِعَ هُدَايَ فَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. Get down, all of you, from this place, but there will come to you my guidance. Whoever follows my guidance, upon them shall have no fear, nor shall they grieve. Again, right? Very clear guidance comes from Allah. That means Allah is the one who will dictate to you and me what to do and what not to do. It's not up to you to say, okay, in order to, for example, come out of the house, I will recite Ayatul Kursi all the time. Where is the hadith that you can find in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did and say, and the Sahabat followed, that every time you leave the house, you will say Ayatul Kursi? Never. You will never find that. Yeah. Where in the Quran or in any hadith did you see, oh, when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam finished the salam, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, Assalamu rahmatullah, he immediately make dua to Allah, raise up their hands? Never. And yet people are seen doing this. So you cannot say that you are a mu'min when you did not obey Allah and His messengers. As simple as that. Doing good things, people would say, oh, it's okay, I'm doing good deeds anyway, right? It's not that I'm going to the clubs, I'm going to bring girls home or boys home and all this. Is no, I'm doing the good things for Allah. So people would, on Thursday nights in my culture, they would recite Surah Yasin, and they would, after somebody died, they say Al-Fatiha. And then when somebody was died again, they have these 7 days, 10 days, 40 days on these gatherings. People recite the Quran, people khatam the Quran, they tell people to recite the Quran. Where on earth did we find all this in any hadith, authentic hadith I'm talking about, right? Or in the Quran? And how can we say, yes, we obey Allah and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? No, of course not. You disobeyed them. And the punishment of Allah for those who committed these acts of innovations is very simple, right? They will be, firstly, on the day of judgment, they would not be able to drink from the pond of Al-Kawthar. And secondly, right, of course, that in the time that when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before he gives any speech, he would always start with every innovation is a misguidance, and every misguidance will lead us to hellfire. Yeah. So it's not as easy as it is. Yes, however, Allah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all the innovations come out, right? And all these things that you choose what you want to do, you interpret the Quran according to what you desire, is completely nonsense, right? People are refusing to follow the inheritance rule in the Quran, the Sharia law, yeah, the fara'id, that you divide it according to what Allah says in the Quran, that the sons will get double from the wife. And you say that, oh, it's okay, we are in London now, let's do 50-50, it's fair for everybody. Allah has set the law in the Quran, the Sharia, and His ruling, because He's wise. He knows what He's talking about. He creates us, surely, right? So it's not for us to manipulate the deen in order to suit our nafs, suit our desire. All right. So in the next verse, Surah number 49, verse number, I think, 15, right? Only those are believers who have believed in Allah and His Messenger And afterwards, do not doubt, but strive with their wealth and their lives for the cause of Allah. Those they are the truthful. Yeah. So you cannot say that yes, I'm a believer, and yet, right, you're not striving hard, right? You're not waking up for tahajjud prayer and then can't be bothered, this is just sunnah prayer, right? Mondays and Thursdays are 14, 13, 14, 15. Oh, it's okay, just a sunnah fast. You can't. There must be a degree of striving, right, with our lives, yeah, and our wealth, right? People are so busy, right, going to holidays in the United States. People are so busy going for holidays in Europe, going to ski holidays, right? And yet they say, Hajj is so expensive. How can I afford it? Subhanallah, right? It's not uncommon. People give up these excuses, right? I know for a fact one of those, well, I won't mention who, of course, right? Who refuse, even though they got a lot of money, they say nice house, yeah, and they refuse to go for Hajj, and Allah took away everything. Yep, because Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, because one of them, right, one husband had, I think, heart problems, and the money was spent for these heart surgeries and rehabilitation and all this. Money is finished. If we do not use our money, right, for the sake of Allah, in fact, we now know that Prophet Muhammad said in Hadith that we must not travel to any places except in Mecca, in Medina, and in Jerusalem. This hadith is authentic, inshallah. Yeah, that means, of course, I don't say you cannot travel home to Pakistan, to India, to your home in Singapore, Malaysia. No, right? But priority must be given to Hajj first, right? You cannot say, "Oh, I have no money for Hajj," and then you've been back to Malaysia or been back to what do you call it, to Pakistan, to China to visit your families. If you go there every year, doesn't make sense. Surely you'll be accountable to your deeds. Remember, Allah warned us in the last verse that was revealed in the Quran. وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ ثُمَّ تُوَفَّى كُلُّ مَا كَسَبَتْ وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. And be afraid of the day when you shall be brought back to Allah. Then every person shall be paid for what he has earned, and they shall not be dealt with unjustly. Surah number 2, verse number 281. Yeah. So this verse determines very clearly how the Bedouins had been, well, corrected. No, you're not Muslims. So you're not mu'min. You're just a Muslim. Yeah, because you have not obeyed Allah and His Messenger sallallahu that much to have your status upgraded, yeah, from being a Muslim to a mu'min. Another verse in the Quran that Allah shows the difference between Muslim and mu'min. It's a long verse, but I'm just going to say about the beginning part of this verse, Surah number 33, verse number 35. Innal muslimina wal muslimat wal mu'minina wal mu'minat. Yeah, so but the fact Allah labeled this differently means that Muslims and mu'min are different. That the Muslims, men and women, the believers, men and women. Yeah, so that means mu'min and Muslims are uh, separated in the category by Allah Himself. Yeah. So, well, as you know, this verse was revealed because Prophet Muhammad's wife, I think Salama, anha, well, she was complaining to Allah. How come, complaining to Prophet Muhammad, how come the verse in the Quran is all about men? There's nothing about us, right? So, a long verse regarding men, believing men and women, Muslim men and women, about those who donate men and women, those who do fasting men and women, a lot of things, subhanAllah, right? So, this just for me to show or to share with you about that Muslims and Mu'min are different in the eyes of Allah. Yeah. Now, of course, the next thing that we need to know. So, how do we know that we are mu'min, or how can we improve ourselves in order to be able to be labeled as a mu'min? Then let's turn to Surah number 8, verse 8. Yes, Surah number 8, verse number 2, 3, and 4. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون الذين يقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون أولئك هم المؤمنون حقا لهم درجات عند ربهم ومغفرة ورزق كريم. The believers are only those, this is verse number 2, yeah, surah number 8. The believers are only those, number 1, right? When Allah is mentioned, they feel a fear in the hearts, right? How do you feel, sisters, when Allah's name is mentioned? Many people, right? Oh, just I'm doing my housework, I'm cooking, I'm switching on the Quran, right? There's nothing wrong, of course. But when you heard the words of Allah, the name of Allah is mentioned, how does it feel, right? How does it feel? Does it make you fearful of Allah? I've done so many things wrong, right? Would Allah forgive me, right? Do you feel that you can enter Jannah? So all these kind of things would evolve in your mind, yeah, when you hear the words of Allah. This is the first criteria. Next one, when His verses, that is the Quran, are recited unto them, that means the verses, increase their faith, right? As I said, is it a Quran is just meant for me to, when I'm driving my car, right? I want to listen to verses of the Quran. That's it, just to keep me occupied in all this, right? Or does it increase my faith? Do I want to know more about the Quran? Do I want to research more in the tafsir? How was this verse revealed? Yeah? How was this verse revealed? Who was involved? Any hadith associated with the verse? Then to the tafsir, right? The Ibn Kathir is very clear, alhamdulillah, very simple to understand. When you do not understand any verse, just go to this tafsir and they will explain to you quite clearly, inshallah, right? But does this increase your faith? That's it. Oh, I want, because of this verse, right? I'll just listen. I think I want to do more things. I want to wake up for tahajjud, you know? I want to do more sunnah deeds, because at the end of the day, sunnah, as you know, right, is able to, inshallah, increase or patch up my missing or missing prayers, or prayers that I cannot have khushu', right? So all this would the verses of Quran that you have listened to, or when you read yourself, it completely, yeah, allow you and me to be closer to Allah. And number 3, they put their trust in their Lord. This is the trust in Allah. It's a thing that completely people have been thinking that, oh, it's okay, I trust Allah anyway, right? And as you know, sorry, it is easy for you and me to say or to advise others, oh, you know, this is Allah's test. Allah tests those whom He loves. Trust Allah, right? Trust Allah, right? And don't worry, right? And eventually, with His will, He will be able to, He'll help you, lift you up of your difficulties. Easy to advise, but you are in that position. It's not so easy, right? And to have, imagine, right, in the Quran, Allah give examples about people like Cave, how difficult it is to leave your parents whom you love so much for the sake of Allah, because they are not believers, and you want to become a believer, you want to really focus on worshiping Allah, but you have to abandon them, right? How difficult it is in some of the battles, the Sahaba had to meet their own father, right? And they had no choice but to kill them, right? Because the father are making the effort to kill him just because he's a Muslim. How difficult is if you're in the position of the mother of Musa alayhi salam, right? To be told to float, put Musa in a small box and float him, and surely, and Allah's promise, right, that Allah will reunite mother and son together. How difficult it is, right? How difficult it is if you're in the position of Ibrahim alayhi salam, not having children for um how many years? I think for about at least 80, 90 years, right? And only to be told when the child was born, right? Ismail, for example, when he was born, only to be told, well, you do need to leave the child, and the mother was Hajjah, right? In the middle of the desert with completely no water, completely no food. How difficult it is. Would you do it, right? How difficult it is if you are the son, right? Or even father and son, whichever positions you are in, right? And then you were told that you need to sacrifice your son. How difficult for both son and father, right? To do this. So trust in Allah, right, is very easy on the um well, theoretical side, right? Knowing that, oh, see, Ibrahim alayhi salam, you can always explain to your friends. Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was thrown in the fire, he said, Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil. Allah alone is sufficient for me. He's the best disposal of my affairs. Very easy. But to have, if you're in that position, right? I don't think it's that straightforward, correct? Because at the end of the day, yeah, we have a lot of issues with us that we don't really trust Allah. We think that we trust Allah, but actually we don't. Yeah. Um, so important that we look at ourselves, yeah, and we see ourselves whether we truly trust Allah or not. Yep. So I'm trying to look at this verse um, in Surah number 65. You know this, right? In the last verse, in the last part of the verse number 2, right? And also in whole verse of number 3, inshallah, right? In the last part of verse number 2, Allah said, Surah 65, yeah, Surah At-Talaq, yeah. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَالِغُ أَمْرِهِ قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدْرًا. Allah said, advise us, right? That whosoever have taqwa to Allah, fear Allah, keep their duties to Him, Allah will make a way for him to get out from every difficulties. It's about taqwa in the sense that when you are tested by Allah, you still have to pray. You still have to fulfill your conditions as a Muslim. It's not, oh, Allah tests, oh, that means He doesn't love me. Then you are moping around in the house. You have no mood. You lock yourself in the room and you forgot your prayers. Your prayers are late. Let's face it, like it or not, the sun will always rise with or without you. The sun will always set with or without you. The underground will be going out with or without you. Right? We are just an insignificant creation of Allah. That we just have to trust Allah, yeah, and understand Allah's beautiful names, right? Ar-Razaq, yeah, the one who provides, yeah, Rob, the one who maintains, sustains, protects, yeah. Whatever things we have practicing in the days and in many years, it will become to use, inshallah, when Allah tests us, right? When we have no money, yeah, of course, we need to put in effort, inshallah. But still, how can we compare our status of finance to those people in Palestine? It's incomparable. We always look at people, oh, this person has a nice car, this person living in Chelsea, in Knightsbridge, right? And you go for holidays all the time. Don't compare to anybody. Yeah? Because the most important thing, inshallah, that Allah gave us Islam. It's up to you, and the seed is in our heart, alhamdulillah. The most important thing to ensure that the seed grows, that you water it properly, that you put fertilizers in the seed, right? You protect the seed, our Islam, our Iman, yeah, from things that will harm the seed, right? Make sure you protect from us from shaitan, don't be too engrossed in the dunya. What else? That you have good friends, to surround by good friends, you attend lessons, right? It's quite important, yeah, that we do this. It's our responsibility to maintain our Islam and our Iman. Nobody's responsibility. Can't even blame your mother. Why didn't you do this? Right? It's yourself. Yeah. And the next verse, Surah number in Surah 65, verse number 3, and He will provide him, that means Allah will provide him from sources he could never imagine if you have taqwa to Allah. And whosoever puts his trust in Allah, then he will be sufficient. That means Allah is sufficient for him. Just trust Allah. Right? Verily Allah will accomplish His purpose. Allah will make sure that whatever happens, right, He will make it the best decisions from Allah. Indeed, Allah has set a measure for all things. Now, this is quite confusing, right? Because I said to so many times, none of my dreams come true when I was small, right? But this life, we think that we know what we want, but Allah is providing you and me with a better alternative that will lead us to Him, inshallah, to see Him in Jannatul Firdaus, with His will. Yeah. So don't be despaired that we do not get what we want. Yeah. It's something in which Allah knows us much better than we know ourselves. That's what Allah says in Surah number 2, verse 216. وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ وَعَسَىٰ أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ شَرٌ لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Perhaps the thing that you hate is good for you, and the things that you like is evil for you. Allah knows what you do not know. That's why we have these names that we must understand. Al Alim, which means the all knower, Al Khabir, the all aware, As Sami', the all hearer, Al Basir, the all knower. In the sense that we must understand that the final and best disposal of any our affairs must only come from Allah. That's why the one of the most important verse that you and I must always use is Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Allah alone is sufficient for us. Is the best disposal of our affairs. Yeah. So this is trust, and even we've been taught, right? Before we leave the house, we say Bismillah tawakkaltu ala Allah wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Allah alone is sufficient for us. Is the best disposal of our affairs. Sorry, in the name of Allah. So that is the Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Allah alone is sufficient for us. He's the best disposal of our affairs. Is Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. But Bismillah tawakkaltu ala Allah wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, which means that in the name of Allah, we put our trust in Allah, and there's no might and power except with Allah. Yep. Now, so these are just the three criteria. Come back to the first part, the Surah number 8, verse number 2. Yeah. In order to be a mu'min, you must be able to, when Allah is mentioned, you feel a fear in the heart. When the verses are recited, then you increase your faith and they put the trust in Allah. The next one, yeah, those who performs as salah, not just do salah. Yeah, in the word aqim salah means to make sure we salah on time with khushu', right? In congregation is if possible for the men in the mosque. You know, so these are fulfilling the criteria of aqim salah, and they spend out of what we have provided them. Spend is not spending in Westville, in Waitrose. Spend means to spend to give charity. Most important, of course, is your zakat. Make sure you're not late, right? Always remember, right? It's calculated in Islamic calendar, and you must be on time. Even if can you imagine if we are late to pay our income tax, right? So for me, I'm self-employed, so the next one is in 31st of January. What if if we're one day late? There's a penalty, right? I'm also I am part of this thing called Law Society, an organization that operates or govern the lawyers. I have to pay in end of September or October, can't remember, right? A certain amount of money as for fees, right? This includes many things, right? So, but if you are late, there's a severe penalties, subhanAllah, right? So if we are so concerned about all these organizations that we join, right? Income tax, what about the most important, which is zakat, right? Surely there will be repercussions if we are late to pay zakat. So don't take it lightly, right? Calculate, make sure you know is an Islamic calendar. If it is a first of Muharram, and it's first day of Islamic calendar. The month of Muharram is the first month, as you know. Yeah, it's first of Muharram. Make sure it's the first of Muharram next year too. Of course, in Gregorian term, it will change. You move on I think every year about 12 days. Move earlier, right? Make sure we are not careless about it. Yeah. So it's important that we spend as in give charity, especially zakat, from what Allah Himself has provided for us. What is the reward of all these 5 criteria? It is they who are the believers in truth. For them are grades of dignity. Number 1, Allah will increase our honor. Yeah. And number 2, and forgiveness. This is the most important, right? When Allah forgive us, inshallah, Jannah, right? And a generous provision is Jannah, right? So these are the 3 things: honor from Allah, grace of dignity, forgiveness, and paradise, inshallah. Yeah. So this is the first ayat for first chapter in the Quran, Surah number 8, verse number 2 to 4. in the verses, 3 verses explains who are the mu'min. So if you and I want to achieve this level, including the rewards, right? Then we do need to make sure that we fulfill all the criteria. It's not up to us to choose. Okay, I fulfill number one, number three, but not number four and five, right? You cannot pick whatever you want. You have to do every single five of them, inshallah. All right. The next one, Surah number 9, verses number 71 to 72. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم والمؤمنون والمؤمنات بعضهم أولياء بعض يأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر ويقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة ويطيعون الله ورسوله أولئك سيرحمهم الله إن الله عزيز حكيم وعد الله المؤمنين والمؤمنات جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها ومساكن طيبة في جنات عدن ورضوان من الله ورضوان من الله أكبر وذلك هو الفوز العظيم. The believers, men and women, who are they? They're awliya to one another. This is a very important word. Awliya means the helpers, supporters, the friends, protectors to one another, right? Not enemies. They must be supporting one another. Not about, oh, this person is Pakistani, I'm Bangladeshi, can't be bothered, right? This person is Moroccan and Argentine. It cannot be like this, right? And this is how the Ummah has become so disunited, right? Everybody must ensure that they're helping one another. This is how to keep this Ummah united, inshallah. Allah says in Surah number 3, verse number 103, وَاعْتَسِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, right? Hold on together, hold on fast to the ropes of Allah with the Quran, and do not become divided. As simple as that. Awliya is so important, a word. We have to really, if we do, no wonder all these enemies of Islam completely, right? It's easy for them to disunite us, right? So support this one, attack this one, and all this, right? This is their style, right? So, but we have to understand we are above all this, right? As a mu'min, we have to help one another, regardless of the social status, regardless of where they come from, the ethnicity, right? Whether they are good Muslims or bad Muslim, regardless, it is Allah who will judge, inshallah. And this is the first thing, right? That you must be awliya to one another. Next one, they enjoy al-ma'ruf. That means enjoy goodness. That means they encourage each other, right? Come, let's go to Umrah together. Come, let's go and what do you call it? Meet together. Then we can pray together. Then we discuss the Quran on your own. You do not need to have a class to uh, have and helping one another on the deen, right? If somebody else, what do you call it? Um, you have a group of Muslim sisters, come. Tomorrow is one of the tomorrow is a Thursday, for example. Tomorrow is Monday, right? Actually, right? Tomorrow is Monday. Let's fast, right? And this is called enjoining al ma'ruf, yeah, and forbid al munkar and wathri. That any kinds of disobedience, you try to encourage people not to do it. Yeah. Now, so this is very important. Enjoining right and forbidding evil is not a sunnah. It is an obligation. As Allah in Surah number 3, verse 104, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And let there be among you a group of people inviting to all that is good, enjoining what is right, and forbidding what is evil. It is they who are the successful or successes. Success means, as you know, Jannah, provided that we enjoy good and forbid evil. This is Surah number 3, 104. Surah number 3, verse 110. Allah say 110, right? Kuntum khara ummatun ukhrijat linnas ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. You are the best nations that ever raised up for mankind, which is you and me. That's a Ummah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are the best nations, alhamdulillah, right? Why? What must we do? Because you enjoin good and you forbid evil and you believe in Allah. This is a criteria. Used to be, well, the Bani Israel. because they continue to disobey Allah. Allah removed the best status, best nation status to us. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. But there's a criteria that is fulfillments of requirements to be the best nations. Yeah. That's why when we see something, inshallah, right, in order to help them, Palestine, you help them. Yeah, alhamdulillah, we have raised how much, right? We did two collections for Palestine for this event of ever since 7 November last year. I think totally we collected maybe about 8,000 plus. Alhamdulillah, right? Allah reward all of you for your efforts. Yeah. So this is very important, right? To encourage, because well, as you know, sadaqah, it removes our sins just like water removes the fire, extinguishes the fire. So many things that we can gain from this sadaqah. Another hadith is very important. You can remind others. If we help a believer in this life, Allah will help us in the hereafter, right? In the distance or the journey of 50,000 years. We need as much help as possible, inshallah. Right? The next one, and they perform as-salah, again, aqim as-salah, and they give zakat. And again, same thing, obey Allah and His Messenger. As easy as it is to fulfill, many of us think, well, of course I obey Allah. Of course I obey Messenger. Of course I obey the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But what we do is completely different. Yeah. Now, and also, surely Allah is Almighty, the All-Wise. This is Surah number 9, verse number 71. In 72, Allah has promised to the believers, men and women, gardens under which rivers flow to dwell therein forever. First of all, gardens and rivers. This was specifically revealed, as you know, in Saudi Arabia in those days. There's no rivers at all. There's no gardens to have. In those days, there's no social media. There's nothing to see what is happening in China, in UK, in Europe, in America. Nothing to see. Well, all they know is this desert, and there's no rain, not much rain. There's no river, but to be promised a place with gardens, with rivers flow, and the best part is you'll be there forever. It's a huge for these Arabs, or this the Quraysh, sorry, right? And beautiful mansions in gardens of Eden, yeah. And this is important, but more important still is the greatest bliss. The greatest bliss is the good pleasure of Allah. That is a supreme success. In Jannah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant all of us a place of Jannah al-Firdaus. So in Jannah, Allah would say, right, in authentic hadith, yeah, have you received my blessings? And we say, Ya Allah, we're in paradise. What bigger blessings can we receive? This is the best blessing. Two things, right? First of all, Allah would remove the veil and you can see His face, subhanallah. Secondly, Allah will say, but the greatest blessing, right, is my promise that I will never, never be angry with you again. And subhanallah, because in Jannah, as you know, before we enter Jannah, as you know, we must remove any sins, no matter how small it is. If any one of us has any sin, we cannot enter Jannah. So everybody, all dwellers of Jannah has no sins at all, right? And there's no sins. Everything is purified, right? What you do not do things that will disappoint Allah. So Allah will never, never be angry with us. Subhanallah, it's a huge thing in this life, in this world today. No matter how amazing we are in our deeds, we pray tahajjud, we do good umrah in Ramadan, right? Subhanallah, some of us have received the best. We think that we're so close to Allah. But after Ramadan, we still make the same mistakes, subhanallah. That is a frustrating thing, right? But in Jannah, subhanallah, we do not do anything that will disappoint or make Allah angry. Imagine every Friday, subhanallah, when all of us have a meeting with Allah, right? Every Friday we have a meeting with Allah. So some people will sit on a throne, some people will sit on a stool, some people will sit on the benches, some people will sit on the floor. Can you imagine if it happens today? Let's say today in this world, right? Somebody on the throne would always say, look, I'm here. I'm on the throne. Right? You guys are all on the floor, right? There's be so much arrogance and so much what do you call it? Looking down on others. But in Jannah, there's no such thing. A person on the throne will never think the person on the floor is inferior to him, right? So this is how it is, huh? In Jannah. How can we do not want to go to this list? Surely we want, but we just need, inshallah, to fulfill all the criteria of a mu'min. Then you get to go to this place where Allah will never be angry with us again, inshallah. Right? The last verse, and most of us would know this, right? In Surah number 23, verse number 1 to 11. So we talk about three verses. I'm sure there's a few more verses. I just had the three parts of the Quran that mentioned about the mu'min and how to be a mu'min. And lastly, of course, what is the reward from Allah for mu'min. So this Surah number 23, verse number 1 to 11. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قد أفلح المؤمنون الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون والذين هم عن اللغو معرضون والذين هم للزكاة فاعلون والذين هم لفروجهم حافظون إلا على أزواجهم أو ما ملكت أيمانهم فإنهم غير ملومين فمن ابتغى وراء ذلك فأولئك هم العادون والذين هم لأماناتهم وعهدهم راعون والذين هم على صلواتهم يحافظون أولئك هم الوارثون الذين يرثون الفردوس هم فيها خالدون. The first verse, not 23, verse number 1. Successful indeed are the believers. And success in the Quran is mentioned is always about Jannah, inshallah. Who are these people? First of all the deeds, is all about Salah. Those who offer their Salah with solemnity and full submission. Khushu', we discussed about khushu', right? What is khushu'? Khushu' means, is explained officially in the Quran, right? All of us know khushu' means focus, concentrate, submit, surrender to Allah, on all these terms, right? But Allah defined khushu' in Surah number 2, verse number, let's look at 45, 46. وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. Seek help in patience and in salah truly is extremely difficult except those who are khashi'un. Who is a khashi'un? The next is alladhina. Let me correct myself, right? 46. Alladhina yadhunnuna rabbakum. Let me do it. Sorry, surah number 2, right? Verse number 46. Right? الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو ربهم وأنهم إليه راجعون. Right? They are those who are certain that they are going to meet with their Rabb and to Him, that they are going to return. Certain. If you and I are certain that let's say day is 17, right? 17th of November, and now is about 3:49. Yeah. If you are sure for certain on the 18th of November 2024 at about 3:49, that means exactly 24 hours, that we are going to die. Certain, that means, if we know, of course, the angel of death is going to come and that's it, finished, right? What would we do? Surely that 24 hours now to tomorrow will be completely full of khushu'. You don't even want to think about football, about your family, about what to cook. Everything is about khushu'. Agreed? Right? But of course, tomorrow, 18th of November, at about 3:49, might actually be my last day or your last day. We do not know, but Allah knows. Surely, every prayer must be done as best as possible as the last prayer, inshallah, as if there's no other prayer that's going to come. Yet, So the first thing is to offer salah in khushu. We know from the hadith that we can only receive, subhanallah, the most maximum 50% of khushu. 50% as a human being. That's how bad we are, subhanallah. Right? Number two, and those who turn away from Allah, right? Lahu means are the vain talks, evil talks, right? Falsehoods and all this are involved. The things that all are forbidden, like backbiting, right? Sitting in a wedding place, dressing nicely, and then you say, look at that, right? I think she put on weight, right? Look at that. What is she wearing, right? So, you know, it's not uncommon that people say that this is completely forbidden. As I said before yesterday, even Aisha anha, as a human, she's our mother, of course. But as a human, she's still saying Safia is short, one of the wives of Prophet Muhammad. That Prophet Muhammad scolded her. That is enough to contaminate the sea, right? So and if you were to come across that, then you either advise these people, look, right, let's stop doing this, right? Because perhaps on the day of judgment, right, our deeds might go to her. We really do not like her. Why must I give my umrah deeds, my tahajjud deeds to her, right? So advise, if not, just go away, move away from this conversation, right? Next one, and those who pray zakat, number three, right? Zakat, again, very important, is a pillar of Islam. Make sure you really take note of exactly when you pay zakat. You can pray earlier. So let's say first of Muharram, you did last year. This year, oh, I want to pay earlier. Then you pay perhaps in Dhul Hijjah, make sure you know the date. Yeah, 15th of Dhul Hijjah, for example, or during the best 10 days of the year, first 10 days of the Hijjah. Then next year onwards, it must be Dhul Hijjah. You cannot come back to Muharram because this will be late. 1 year from Islamic calendar. Okay. Next one, those who got their chastity. Yeah. Except for their wives or that their right hands possess for them, then they are free to blame. But whosoever seeks beyond that, then those are the transgressors. Yeah. So these are the things. The fourth one, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? It is to control your, don't do zina, to put it simply, right? In fact, Allah said, as I said, Surah number 17, verse number 32, wala taqrabu zina. Do not come near zina. Yeah, we discussed just now. In fact, Prophet Muhammad promised us Jannah if we can control our mouth and our private parts. Yeah. This number 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Number 5. This is, people think this is easy, but trust me, a lot of people are not able to do this. Those who are faithfully true to their covenant, right? Covenant of Allah, either with Allah and to the covenant. So they're faithfully true to the amanat, yeah, which is a promise to Allah, or to the covenants to your employers and all this, or let's say you hire, and it's very sad, right? A lot of cheating, lying happens in the Middle East. So I have stories that they hire maids or domestic workers. Most of them, or not most, sorry, not most, yeah, but some of them were badly treated. Yeah, they're paid, they're taken away, took away the passport, take away many things. All right. Some of them fed using, some of them run, because I know this because I handle all these cases when they come to London. They were fed with leftover food. They work from 6 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the morning, 6 in the morning, or 7 in the morning until whole night after midnight. They paid meager amounts of money. And this, how can it be? Right? And this is supposed to rich people. And then they mistreat many people. How many people died when they built the stadiums in Qatar and all this, right? In the World Cup, right? As a lawyer, if somebody paid me money, right? I get £2,000, for example, for handling this case, and I deliberately, because I'm so busy, I have so many clients that say, and then I have no time to handle the case properly, I will be responsible to Allah on the day of judgment. So it's not about salah, it's not just about fasting in Ramadan. Islam is a way of life that we must understand. So to be a mu'min, this amanah that we have with others are very important. A mother, your amanah is to your children in the sense that they must be, because in general, the men are quite busy earning. In, well, most people, most families, the men are working, women take care of the children. Of course, nowadays there might be women also working, but both parents are responsible for the children's Islamic knowledge. Is such an annoying thing that when you see parents are so busy paying money for tuition, for English, for maths, and all this, when the children is only about 8, 9 years old, for the Islamic development, oh, so can be bothered maybe once a week, just send a child to the madrasa and that's it, right? Completely at home, there's no Islamic environment, nobody prays together, everybody is scattered here when they pray at all, even, yeah, if there's any. Nobody prays for Fajr, and completely is a mess Islamically. How can it be, right? And this is something in which we have to ensure that the fathers, especially, are the shepherds of the family. The mothers are responsible too, right? Because when the father usually when go back to work, go out to work in the morning, who's going to take care of the children? And this is where, subhanallah, right? When I always tell the brothers, if because the brothers are given the the ability to marry a people of the book, so even if there's a green light to marry people of the book, doesn't mean you should take it, because the consequences of um, the mother who is not Muslims to ensure that children are taken care of Islamically is quite rare, quite not many. I know many horror stories of these mixed marriages between Muslim and non-Muslims, people of the book, right? That ended up with the children being non-Muslims, and you have to be responsible for it. Yeah, so very important. This is amanah and covenants. Of course, the most important covenant is with Allah. When did you make a covenant with Allah? In Surah number 7, so 172, 172, when Allah swept the back of Adam alayhi salam, all of us appeared in front of Allah, right? We said, and then Allah asked us, am I not your Rabb? Am I not the one who's going to maintain you, sustain you, protect you? And we said, Bala Shahidina, yes, we bear witness. And Allah warned us on a day of judgment, you said, you can never say you are not aware of this. Yeah. So important that we ourselves understand this. It seems it's put in the middle of everything, right? The whole 11 verses. And people might dismiss it. This is one of the difficult things that people are not doing. I've seen many cases, right, in which, well, people people don't realize when they tell me about this that actually they're not supposed to do it, right? When you are paid to do security at night for the brothers, for example, right? Let's say you're working at night from 7 to 7. You are literally supposed to be awake, right? You're literally supposed to be the one who informed the authority if anything happens. But some people actually, I've seen it, and they told me, oh, they would wear their pajamas, they will sleep, right? It's the best time to work 7 to 7 because then they can sleep and they can do things. Your job it is to make it secured, not to sleep, right? So if you're working, and especially with the brothers, right, and you're given 1 hour lunch every day, regardless of Friday, whatever it is, right? And this is in a contract. And then you, instead of spending 1 hour on Friday, you say 2 hours, I need to go to pray and all this. No, but you need to ask permission at least. You're not gonna just disappear for 2 hours, right? So this is the thing that a lot of people may find problems in the keeping to the amanat and to the covenants, right? The next one, or the last one of the in the list, and those who strictly guard their 5 prayers, right? And again, very important. Nowadays, winter, right? Fajr is about morning, right? In the morning, almost 6. Dhuhr is about 11:50, perhaps, right? Asar is closer to 2 o'clock or 1:50 something. Maghrib is about almost coming to 4 o'clock, coming nearer to 4 o'clock. Isha is about perhaps 5:40, 5:45, right? Very close together, right? At no point of time will you say or must you say, oh, this is so difficult, right? I have to work, I have to send kids to school or take them back from school. Yeah, it's difficult, right? Very important that we understand Surah number 4, verse 103, 103, when Allah said, Inna salata kanas ala al-mu'minina kitaba mawqutat. The prayers, yeah, has been enjoined on the believers and the mu'min, right, at fixed hours. It's very important. If we want ourselves a mu'min, we have to guard it strictly. There's no excuse at all. Never say, it's okay, I prayed all the time every day. Now I just want to rest. Too tired. I can't be bothered to wake up for Fajr, right? Or I have to do this. Perhaps today Allah will forgive me. What happened if we were to do this enormous sin of missing the prayer and Allah took our lives away? We're finished. Literally. Remember? Iblis. How was Iblis before he disobeyed Allah? He was so pious. He was completely, right, pious that Allah elevated his status to become the guardian of paradise. And he did, well, to you and me, one mistake. But that single mistake ended up with Allah cursing him. And eternally he will in hellfire, subhanAllah, on the basis of him being arrogant. Right? So make sure we know all this. I repeat again, Surah number 23, verse number 1 to 5. If you want to be successful in Jannah, for the mu'min, yeah, first of all, make sure you pray with khushu'. Turn away from the dirty talks, Allah, yeah, zakat. Guard your chastity. Number 5, it is to ensure that you are true to your covenants and your promises. And last one, you guard your prayers. Prayers come back again in this list. What is the reward? Subhanallah, right? These are the inheritance. Ulaika humul, yeah, ulaika humul warithun, yeah. They are the inheritors of what? Alladhina yarithuna al-firdaus, hum fiha khalidun. That they will inherit. This is the best. That's why I put these verses as the last one for today's talk. It's not just any levels of Jannah, but Firdaus. And then they shall dwell in it forever. Yeah. So, of course, having or being, inshallah, you and me, may Allah grant all of us, Jannatul Firdaus, to be in that level. It seems easy, right? But trust me, a lot of people may not be able to get that. Yeah. Because a lot of people think that, oh, Islam is just Salah, Ramadan, okay, alhamdulillah, fast, I went to Hajj, I went to Umrah. It's not just the acts of worship. It involves everything that we do. The moment we wake up in the morning, when we say, Alhamdulillah, hadana lihada wa ma kunna, Alhamdulillah, ahyana ba'da ma amatana wa ilahin nushur. We praise Allah for making us alive when we have been dead in our sleep, right? And to him that we shall be returning. All the way until all the time we sleep in the morning, sleep at night, sorry, and we say all this, the three calls, and then we die again in a sense, right? From that moment onwards, everything is about complete submission to Allah. It's a way of life. Yeah. I hope today's talk is able to, inshallah, wake us up, because to enter Jannah, as good as it is not as easy as many people think. Right? When you seek more knowledge, you will know that it's very difficult. Abu Bakr anhu, we said many times, right? If there was an announcement, this is the best person, and he's going to be the second person to enter the Jannah after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah. If there is an announcement, everybody will enter Jannah except one. He will be the one who think that he's one of them. And the only ones are the one who cannot enter Jannah. This announcement. He said he would think that he's the one who cannot enter Jannah. That shows that how much humble. If you have more knowledge, you are more humble, and you start to self-scrutinize your deeds. No, it's not enough. I should have done this. Oh, my sins in those days. You think about this in your mind, and you work harder in order to, inshallah, to be able to please Allah. At the end of the day, it's all about pleasing Allah, right? If we're able to please Allah, inshallah, Allah will grant us His mercy, because none of us can enter Jannah except for Allah's mercy. Yeah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide all of us in the path of righteousness, that we are able to achieve the level of not just Muslim, not just mu'min, inshallah, muhsin, the highest one. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow all of us yet to be forgiven of sins and shortcomings. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to grant us iman and taqwa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow all of us to meet the month of Ramadan, helps brothers and sisters suffering in Palestine, in Lebanon, in Sudan, in all places that are suffering with oppressions. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala eventually, allow all of us and our family members to be guided, and eventually grant us with Jannat al-Firdaus. Subhanaka wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala mursalin alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khair. Inshallah we see each other next week of class.